everyone, I'm Victoria McFarlane and this is Flix Worth Clix. My Flick Worth a Click today is Thirst, and it's actually a Korean movie, so the Korean name for it is, I might be getting this wrong, Pachi, which means bat. And it's called Bat and Thirst because it is a vampire movie. But just bear with me here for a second. This is before the Twilight series came and crapped all over whatever vampire is and or was. This movie is one of my all-time favorites. Now, I speak a little Korean and I tutor a lot of Korean students, and part of my degree that I'm working on right now is working towards so I can teach English in Korea hopefully someday. And I love this movie so much that I actually have it on DVD. That's how much I love this movie. On Netflix you can see it with English subtitles, and it is in Korean, so if you speak Korean then you can just listen to it. And if you don't speak Korean then you can only read it in English, and you can't turn the subtitles off, which kind of sucks, but maybe they'll change that. Anyway, I love this movie because it's just everything about it is so fresh and beautiful. This movie is about a priest. There are actually a lot of Christians and Catholics in Korea, you would be surprised, who goes to Africa, I believe, to work on a vaccine for a disease that is only affecting men. I think they call it EV in the movie. And of course he gets infected with the disease and he dies. Now when they give him a blood transfusion, I'm assuming the blood is vampire blood. They don't really go into it too much, which is kind of weird. They just kind of like mention it. They're like, nah. And, you know, they don't go into it deeply, so you gotta kind of watch it a couple of times to figure it out. And I've seen this movie maybe 10 times. Yeah, probably 10 times, and every time I watch it I figure out a little bit more of the story. But he gets infected and they bring him back to life with his vampire blood. Nobody knows it's vampire blood. He doesn't know it's vampire blood. He goes back to Korea and discovers that he's a vampire. And being a priest, this is a soul dilemma for him because he is having to fight with himself from what he's become, because he's a priest, he grew up in the church, and now he's everything that the church has told him is evil. So it's kind of like he's got a moral dilemma going on, and there's also a little bit of a love story, a very, very manipulative love story, which brings a lot of drama. So I guess you could classify this as like a Korean horror drama romance movie? I don't know, there's just so many different aspects of this movie that it's hard to put a specific genre on it. It is kind of gory, not gonna lie. There are some gore scenes because it's a vampire movie, so there's like bones breaking and blood. There's blood. There's lots of blood. Really red, like gross blood. So if you get squeamish around blood, I don't know, you know, if this is gonna be like the right one for you, but if you're sick and, you know, you're like, cool, blood, then this is definitely a good movie for you. It's not like Saw gory, but it's a little gory for me because I was never allowed to watch stuff like that growing up, and sometimes gore kind of shocks me, even though I know how they do it now because I'm a film student. When this movie came out in Korea, it was really controversial because of the blood, and there was some nudity in there. And in Korea, they don't really like to show that stuff. Although I have to say, like, some of the Korean movies that I've seen are kind of dirty, so I don't know what the big problem was. But one of my students and close friends told me that when he was in the army, his whole, like, army unit went to go see this movie because they're like, oh, it's so controversial, it's like this big thing, and they went and saw it, and they were even shocked by it. And these are men that are in the army, and the Korean army is like super hardcore. I mean, all the men have to go in Korea, and I've heard stories where they give you a fake grenade and they show you to throw it once, and then they give you a live grenade and they're like, well, you better know how to throw this or you're gonna lose an arm. So it's pretty hardcore over there, and for a movie to shock a bunch of boys that have been in the army for like a year and a half, it's pretty kind of speaks for the shock value of the movie, I think. So we have some new stuff going on with Flix Worth Clix. Of course, Geeks is still doing the Extra Life thing, which is ending this month, and we haven't really made any money, and I'm gonna donate some of my own money actually because we haven't really made any money, which is sad because these kids really could use the money. Dornbecker's Children's Hospital is a really good, upstanding hospital, and me and the staff at Geeks would really love to make a good donation, but right now I think we have like $100 maybe, and it's all pretty much contributed by the staff. So if you feel like, you know, even donating $1 or whatever, that would just be really great. This is my cyber panhandling. Also, me personally, I run the Flix Worth Clix, and I am adding some, I guess you could call them interns, because they are still in high school. I know, I'm a sophomore in college, and I'm using high schoolers to help me with my videos. Child labor, yay! But their names are Dan and Tyler. And Dan, I know personally, he's a really good, like, this kid knows so much about film, like, spend an hour with this kid and you will know more about film than you would know using Google search or, you know, talking to anyone in the world. This kid is just like an encyclopedia of everything movie. So I'm really glad to, really happy to add him to the videos. And then Tyler, I've never met Tyler, but he comes with a very, very good recommendation. So they will be added to the videos. So you're going to see some fresh faces. Well, that was my Flick Worth a Click for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope to see all of you guys back here next week, which I'm sure there's like 7 of my viewers right now, so I hope to see like all 7 of you here next week, because you're what keeps me going, honestly. Alright, well, see you guys next week with another Flick Worth Click and maybe some interns. You never know. So, ladies, keep that in mind. Some young new interns.